So I'd like to start off by thanking the ASCRS for putting up this virtual meeting with such a short notice in these unprecedented times, and especially the ASCRS Cataract Committee for responsible for this symposium. I thank you for the opportunity of presenting this case here, and I hope everyone is home safe. So this is a case that illustrates a paradigm shift in our view in the treatment of keratoconus. And this case is especially interesting because it illustrates two very important principles of this new approach. I don't have any financial interest to declare, but my brother and co-author has a license contract with the manufacturer of this pinhole. And this pinhole is not FDA approved. So this is a 41-year-old man that has committed at least a decade of his life trying to improve his vision. He has keratoconus and has undergone corneal cross-linking and intracorneal ring segments implantation, as well as many trials of contact lenses, including scleral lenses. But despite all his effort, his uncorrected vision is still very poor. And although a corneal graft has been extensively discussed with him, he completely refused that idea. It does improve a bit with refraction, but not to an extent that pleases him or satisfies his needs. And with the pinhole occluder, it improves even further. So we decided to perform a different surgery. We did a clear lens extraction, followed by the implantation of a low-powered IOL, together with the extra focus pinhole in the ciliary sulcus, and this is how the eye looks at the end of surgery. And 4 months after this procedure, this patient had a significant improvement of vision. He now sees 20/20, best corrected, and this is his refraction. However, he cannot tolerate these spectacles because of aniseikonia and also some ghosting he refers to. So after extensive discussion, we decided to perform another surgery. And this time we would do an IOL exchange under the intraocular pinhole to a toric lens. So during surgery, we removed the pinhole from the sulcus. This can be easily performed, not hard at all. And then using dispersive viscoelastic with a bent needle, we reopened the capsular bag, and with blunt dissection, we carefully dissected the IOL out of the bag into the anterior chamber. We folded it and explanted it. We then use a capsular tension ring to ensure a complete capsular opening and better force distribution to the equator of the bag. And then a high seal toric implant was used and positioned inside the capsular bag and aligned in the proper meridian. And then we reimplanted the intraocular pinhole. And this time we positioned it inside the capsular bag. And this is the aspect at the end of surgery. And the following day was one of those memorable days. This patient referred an unprecedented vision of 2016, uncorrected vision. He was thrilled. And after pupil dilation, we could see both implants very well centered. And using a modified slit lamp with an infrared camera, we could see the toric marks of the toric implant behind the black pinhole perfectly aligned. So we find this a paradigm shift in the way we deal with keratoconus, and the use of a toric implant together with the pinhole may improve vision quite significantly in these very desperate patients. So we're proposing here a clear lens extraction together with the implantation of an intraocular lens that obviously will address the high and moderate myopia that these patients usually present with, as well as the astigmatism in case we decide to use a toric implant. And on top of that, we implant the pinhole, which addresses the high order aberrations of these eyes. And we performed this in 69 eyes. And in about a third of these patients, we used a toric implant. And the results couldn't have been better. The visual results are outstanding. So these patients usually improve from around 2800 to roughly 2030 uncorrected after this procedure. And as you can see, this is a long-lasting result. So who are the ideal candidates for this approach? So first thing off is the keratoconus must be stable. So you can either wait for the keratoconus to stabilize or perform corneal cross-linking in that sense, but the keratoconus must be stable. Second point is the central cornea must be transparent. Any signs of corneal opacity, central corneal opacity, will compromise the results. In terms of ectasia positioning, the more central the ectatic area is, the better the results are. So we prefer to operate on patients which present central forms of corneal ectasia, as well as mean keratometry under 65 diopters. So this is a procedure not suited for those very advanced cases of keratoconus, as well as patients with larger pupils. So the larger the pupil, the more impacted these patients are by the higher order aberrations and the more improvements they notice after this procedure. So the take-home points here is this is a procedure for contact lens intolerant patients. And this is what we believe to be a paradigm shift in the way we face keratoconus, is a lens-based approach to treat keratoconus. And obviously, we need to reinforce that a careful retinal examination preoperatively is mandatory, and proper counseling of these patients postoperatively as well. And the quest for emmetropia must persist in these patients. And the use of toric implants may improve these results even further in a certain number of patients. And with this, I conclude my presentation, and I thank you all for your attention.